Israel is gearing up for the possibility of a renewed nuclear deal with Iran. How is that deal viewed in Jerusalem, and what are the Israeli options once a deal with world powers and Tehran is reached? Our defense correspondent Jonathan Regev has been speaking to experts on the region.
We're in the ballpark of a possible deal, said White House National Security Council Middle East Coordinator Brett McGurk last week. His comments once again demonstrating how eager the Biden administration is for a deal with Iran, eagerness that's sparking great concern in Israel.
The positive outcome of having an agreement that paves the road for the Iranians to having a big arsenal of nuclear weapons in 10 years is not a good outcome. It's a very dangerous outcome.
World powers, mostly the United States, are trying to convince Israel this is a good outcome and that Israeli interests are taken care of. And yet most experts here believe it is completely different, adding that Western nations learned nothing from the previous experience.
We see 2015 all over again when Iran keeps enriching in secret, because that's what the agreement allows it to do. And on the other end, you've got the West, the United States, the Europeans, who are basically turning a blind eye and looking the other way. And it's an inconvenient arrangement to all sides, except, of course, the parties directly involved, which is Israel, the Gulf countries, regional countries directly threatened by Iran, and they experience Iran's regional expansion firsthand.
Even if a possible deal would delay the Iranian nuclear project, it will have serious regional consequences. Once again, all those making the decisions in Washington, Paris, London or Berlin have to do is learn from the past.
What we saw following 2015 is that the deal actually obtained the complete opposite of what it intended to obtain. We saw Iran upping its defense budget by 40%. We see $700 million to Hezbollah per year. We see $30 million a month to Hamas. We never saw Iran going in the direction the international community intended it to go.
Where does all this put Israel? Experts here watching the events have very little doubts.
We have to keep preparing our capabilities to deal with the matter if there is no agreement, or if there is an agreement and we see that the Iranians get really close to producing nuclear weapons, so that we shall be able to act.
And yet, even if Israel will not love the deal, it will have to take the American considerations before taking any action.
I believe that if the United States ends up with an agreement with Iran, Israel's room to maneuver is going to be limited considerably. Israel cannot do things in spite of the United States' will.
We cannot put our trust on Washington or in Europe to act on our behalf. That being said, it's better be done in coordination with our allies so that in the following day, we're going to have their back.
A deal now seems practically imminent, so is the opposition to it in Jerusalem. Israel will then face a serious dilemma when it has to decide about its response.